Hi everyone. Today I want to go over making a WordPress plugin from scratch. We're going to be using a couple tools here, and I'll go over those as I open them up. But for this, you're going to have FTP access to your site. So if you don't have that, go into your cPanel or whatever hosting panel you're using and set up your FTP account, and then we can get started. So first, what I want to do is I want to connect to the site with a program for FTP called Filezilla. It's free and open source. So I'm going to open up Filezilla, and I already have the settings in for my site, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the site that I want to connect to, and I actually have a web server in-house set up for development. Once you're connected into your HTML or your public HTML directory, let's go into the WP content folder for WordPress, and then into the plugins folder. So in order to make a plugin, we have to have a folder to hold the plugin files. So we're just going to make one in here. So create a new directory, and I'm just going to call this my first plugin. No spaces, of course, so that's why I'm using dashes. So open that folder up and create a new file, and we're going to call this my first plugin.php, again with no spaces. So I'm going to do right click and edit, and it'll launch atom.io for me. So here's our plugin file. So now in order for WordPress to understand this is a plugin, we have to declare this as some PHP code here. So put in a PHP tag, and I'm not going to have any PHP closing tags, so I'm going to delete that one that got put in there automatically. And then we need to put in some additional code here. This basically is just some PHP comments, and I'm going to tell WordPress the plugin name, if I can type right. So let's name this my first plugin. Alright. There's a few other things you can give it to tell WordPress about the plugin. For example, let's tell it the version. So version, and we're going to say 1.0. And make sure that you're typing everything like plugin name, version, all the same as what I have here. Otherwise, WordPress won't understand it. Okay, so now I'm going to do another thing. I guess I would call these tags. Let's do description. And this is what's going to show in the WordPress backend as a plugin description. So I'm just going to call it simple plugin for displaying custom stuff. And then I'm also going to tell it the author, and that's me. And then another one I can do is I can tell it the website that I have associated with the author, which is me. So I do this by typing in author URI, and then basically just give it a URL. And you can give it any website you want. Oh, well, that's nice. Why is it doing that? There we go. Okay. So I gave it a website. And then the other one you can do is plugin URI. So if your plugin is hosted on your website, you could give it the direct URL to that plugin location on your site. So for instance, actually I'm putting these both HTTPS. You could type in mywebsite.com/plugin/plugin name, or let's just say my first plugin. Auto-correcting me. Okay, so So we have a plugin name, a version, a description, an author, and an author URI, and a plugin URI. That should actually do it. Just got to close this comment out. And then I'll save that. And file save in the FTP program. Now I'm going to go to my site, dashboard, and to the plugins, and it should show up in here. There it is, my first plugin. So under my name here, it has a link to my site, and then on the visit plugin site, it actually shows that URL I put in for my first plugin. So let's go ahead and activate that. So right now the plugin doesn't do anything, but it is active. So I'm going to go back in here, and for this example, I'm just going to do a dynamic copyright date, I guess. That'll be pretty nice to have if your theme doesn't have that. So first we'll want to create a new function to actually do the copyright, and then after that we'll add the shortcode for that function. So in PHP we'll just do function, and then we'll give it a name. Let's do my copyright shortcode. That's the function, and then the stuff inside it is here. So let's just create a variable called copyright. This could be anything as long as it has a $sign in front of it. So I'm just making up this variable, copyright equals, and now I'm going to give it the contents that I want to use. So use some HTML here and copy, so that will get the copyright symbol. And then let's just say I'm going to have a date range for my copyright years. So let's say my company started out in, I don't know, let's just say 2014. Okay. And then dash, and then a space. And I put the space there because the next part is going to be a PHP generated date, and I want to have a space before that date throws in here. So everything that's just straight HTML is between these quotes. If I want to put PHP on this same line, I need to put a period after the quote here, and now I can use the PHP Date function. So I'm going to type in date, and I'm going to tell it to use year. So that will get the current year. I'm going to go add another dot to end that PHP segment there, because I want to add some more HTML or text into this. After that date, I want to have another space, and I'm going to use HTML code for bullet point. Alright, and then I'm going to do another space. I'm just going to say my website.com. Now you could do some HTML in here if you wanted to, but for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to do straight text. And then we end that PHP statement right there. Okay, so right now we have a function that really does nothing. It's just going to get that information and put it into a variable. So we need to return the data from that variable. So we will type in return, and then we will tell it to return this, copyright. Return copyright. There's our function. So right now we still don't have a shortcode, so we need to tell WordPress to generate a shortcode for this. So now we use WordPress's add shortcode function, and then we tell it the shortcode name inside quotes here. So I'm just going to say copyright, and then comma. Now we have to tell WordPress what function to use for the shortcode. So we're going to use my copyright shortcode function here, paste it into the quotes here, and let's end the PHP. So that's it. Now let's save. And remember, this is the shortcode here, copyright. So I'm just going to copy that, and then we're going to go to our FTP program here and save that. So now let's go to one of the posts I have in here. Well, actually, I'm going to put it in a widget just for now, because this is probably where you would use it. You would probably use it in a widget. So let's use WordPress's text widget here and put in our new shortcode, copyright. Save that. So this is my right sidebar. So when I go to my posts and view it, there it is. Oh, I have a mistake in my code. That should actually be an ampersand. So let's save that again, upload, and then refresh. So there it is, 2018. So you can basically do this as many times as you want to make a shortcode. But let's do one other thing here. So right now, we are telling WordPress a shortcode, and there is nothing else but the shortcode. You can only type in copyright. Now, most shortcodes will let you type in extra things, say maybe a title or a number or things. So those are called attributes. So I'm going to actually create another. Actually, we'll create a whole new function. So we'll leave that alone. So, but I'm going to copy it because I'm going to make this copyright 2, and I'm going to change this to copyright shortcode 2. There we go. Okay, so now this is a whole new function, whole new shortcode. So what I want to do is I want to give this some attributes. Let's say maybe I want to be able to put in my website title in here. Maybe say right here. So what you have to do is first you have to pass some attributes to this, and normally we call this just ats with the $sign variable there. So now them ats will come from your HTML, from your shortcode when you're showing it on the page. So basically, let's create another variable here to hold the shortcode attributes. I'm just going to say a, and that'll be our attribute, shortcode ats array, and then I'll return. So we got some stuff here. So our first attribute will be, let's just say title. Okay. Equals. And if you want to put something in by default, you can type that in here, or if you leave it blank, it will return blank. So that's the only one I want to do for now. All right, so outside of this array, I'm going to put a comma and tell it to return the ats, and then end that statement. All right, so what we have here is we have a variable called $a, which we can reference in our shortcode as title. And I'm going to copy this here, and let's put it before my website. So actually what we have to do, I have to put an end quote because I'm putting in PHP, like so. Now I'm going to put the PHP variable in here, a title. Alright, so what's that? That is going to return whatever you put in title to be for the shortcode. So copyright 2014 through current date, bullet point, title, and then mywebsite.com. So let's copy this shortcode here, save it, save, and let's put it right underneath here. Copyright 2, just to show you what it does if I don't type that in. If I actually don't type in, this title here. So I saved it. Let's go back, view the site, view the blog post, and it basically just shows the same exact stuff, but it's just a new shortcode. So now I want it to show, say, my website name. I have to use that title attribute that I put in here. So let's go back to that shortcode, and then let's go in here and put in that attribute. So space title equals, and then you don't have to use quotes here, but I prefer to because it's just easier to read. Let's just say, since that's the name of my site, and I believe I'm going to put a space in here. That way I make sure that has a space. Alright, so visit the site, go back to this blog post, and there it is. Now I'll put this down below there because it was just not wide enough to fit there. So that's all there is to it. I can put more in here if I wanted to. Really easy. Make sure you use comma, put in another attribute, and let's just say maybe website. That way we can use this to put in a URL. So let's save that. Actually, let's put that in here instead of mywebsite.com. Let's put website here. Okay. And actually, let's put a space in between the two automatically, so we don't have to put a space in. So, you know, I use the quotes because I'm putting text in, the periods between the quotes for the PHP code. So we're mixing and matching PHP and HTML. All right, so now I can put in a title and a website as a shortcode attribute. So let's go File, Save, upload that. Now let's refresh it. So now we only have the website name here. Let's go back into that widget and then put in website equals, and we can put in website.com. So now what we have is both showing. So now one last thing that's going to be super nice to be able to get this. If you did put your website URL in there, let's say maybe you wanted to just link this, okay, and not have this listed. That's really easy too. So we already have the title here. So what we want to do is we want to create some HTML tags for the link. So let's actually start inside of here. href equals, and then we'll use this part here because that's what you're going to type in for the URL. But we need to make sure we put in the PHP parts so that it knows it's PHP. Alright, so I have href, and then this is all the PHP part. Okay, that's the end of the link. So now what we want to do is put the title in here. So let's just close that tag. Now the title is inside of here. Let's get rid of this stuff. Now let's close the href tag. Alright, so what it looks like. Right after the bullet point, it's going to have the link with our title inside, and then the ending closing tag. Save, upload, refresh. Now this is a link to website.com. There's a lot of different things you can do, but basically that's a little bit more advanced of a shortcode here. This is a simple way to make a shortcode. Basically just put in whatever HTML you want in there and your shortcode's done. As always, thanks for watching, and if you liked this video or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments and suggestions in the comments section below.